Now, the economic turbulence that we are in demands more than a manifesto that makes a catalogue of pledges. These were the words of the then UDA candidate William Ruto ahead of the August 2022 elections. 1 year later, has President William Ruto, who was elected on the promise to turn the economy around, to bring down the cost of living and to lower the prices of fuel, kept his promise? We now take a look at the economy under President William Ruto 365 days later.
A high cost of living, high unemployment rate, dollar shortages, drought, high fuel prices and even higher commodity prices were at the center of the August 2022 election. Now, the Ruto-led faction promising to build a quote-unquote hustler-centered economy with a focus on empowering the most vulnerable in society. But 365 days in power, has this been done? For the answers, we took a look at the cost of basic commodities then and compared them with the current prices. A snapshot through the same data as of June 2023, a 2 kilogram of maize flour was going for 192 shillings and 46 cents, up from 177.34 shillings the same period last year. While a 2 kg bag of sugar was going for over 400 shillings in June 2023 compared to 259 shillings in the same period last year. A litre of paraffin was retailing at 162 shillings and 19 cents in June 2023 compared to 128 shillings in June 2022. A kilogram of kales or skuma wiki was retailing at 58 shillings, almost the same amount last year. Among his first decisions in office, President Ruto removed maize flour subsidy, a decision that the Ruto-led administration has been forced to defend, arguing that it is better to subsidize production than consumption. But was this decision rushed?
Tuliamua sisi ya kwamba we are not going to subsidize consumption, we are going to subsidize production, because that's how intelligent people do it. Wale wengine walichukua bilioni karibu 8 ikaisha kwa mwezi moja.
As we talk, the maize prices in the supermarket, the shelves are still very, very high. So it means that it's yet to reflect. We are waiting to see once the harvest reach the market, if the impact will be seen. But until that happens, we can now have this conversation. But as we talk now, not yet. Unfortunately, the subsidy of the consumption, which you talked about, it had immediate impact. The impact were there and then. When you remove the subsidy on for example, maize flour, you remove subsidies on the fuel, the impacts were there immediate.
At the time of his swearing in, President Ruto was faced with yet another shock occasioned by drought, which analysts say was the worst drought to hit the region in nearly 4 decades, worsening the food shortage crisis that the country was already dealing with, coupled with high fertilizer prices globally. President Ruto then moved to lower the cost of fertilizers in the country to boost agriculture productivity, an issue that experts feel was more populist than realistic.
Our government's first intervention to address the fertilizer challenge and make it available to counties and regions that plant in the short range was to import 1.5 million 50 kilogram bags and distribute them at a lower price of Kenya shillings 3,500 per 50 kilogram bag.
So if you want to look at it comprehensively, if you want to lower the cost of production of maize, for example, and it's not just maize, all agricultural input, whether it's eggs or anything, the first question you want to ask yourself, what costs have really gone down? We agree fertilizer thanks to the subsidy and to selected people, because I think it's only to the registered farmers. For them, they're enjoying a cheaper fertilizer, but the cost of the other implement have actually increased, and that is very, very sad.
When I look at farmers, what they truly really need is support with the extension services. Many of them are not aware of the changing dynamics in the market. Many of them are not aware of the soil acidity. Many of them are not aware about many things.
At the time of President William Ruto's ascension to power, the Kenya shilling was trading at 118 shillings against the US dollar. But in the last year, the Kenyan currency has depreciated to trading at nearly 150 shillings against the greenback. The local currency has also depreciated against regional and other foreign currencies, with the country experiencing a quote-unquote dollar shortage. To tame the sliding shilling, the government looked at the country's top import, fuel, which makes up nearly 30% of all imports. The government brokering a government-to-government fuel import deal to forestall a monthly dollar demand.
You'll agree that it's not just the dollar. The Kenyan shilling has been depreciating against almost all currencies that we are aware of, whether it's the Uganda shilling, Tanzania shilling, the dollar, the euro, all of them, the pound. So it's something fundamentally wrong with our economy, but I think it all comes back to all macroeconomic factors, the debt structure of the government. We have so many bullet payments that are going to mature. We have so many of these bullet payments, as much as IMF is coming in to caution and even give this a temporary lending facility to the government. It doesn't seem to be signaling into the market there's no confidence that the Kenyan market has enough dollars.
Yes, you can have a G2G arrangement that can reduce your cost of importation. But as long as capital is leaving not just Kenya, but many emerging markets and going back to the US, all these currencies were always going to be under pressure, and that's really what came to bear. Now the question is for how long that will continue. We still believe the Fed has about 1 or 2 more rate hikes before things stabilize. So it would not be really unusual to expect this slide to go on possibly for a couple more months.
With the country's unemployment rate stagnating at 5.5 in 2023, similar to 2022, the government has been urged to up its efforts in making Kenya a conducive environment for business or risk more FDI flights from the market, a matter that experts say may never be reversed.
You want to be in a situation where you are able to attract investors in your country. Another one, of course, is the political certainty or political... you want to be in a situation, again, where you have investors have confidence in your economy. So we don't need to see political upheaval. We need to see a very, very stable economy. We don't need to get to a situation where the whole manufacturing sector collapses. Because if it collapses, then the employment of whether labor or capital, we have a problem there at that point.
The experts have, however, lauded the government's effort to avail credit to Kenyans through the Hustler Fund, though they remain skeptical over the sums of money that the country could lose due to non-repayment. As the Kenya Kwanza administration begins to implement its inaugural budget, the experts are wary that increasing taxes alone, without cutting back on government excesses and wastage, the tax may only serve to burden Kenyans with no tangible results being seen.
It will definitely further burden Kenyans because a lot of the taxes in there are consumption taxes. And you remember when the administration was running in the campaigns, they said we need to move towards more progressive tax policies. Progressive tax policies are those that are aligned to production. So as you produce more, you pay more. But what we have right now is a huge dependency on consumption taxes, whether it's VAT or excise taxes. The problem with consumption taxes is they disproportionately affect the people at the bottom the most.
So that means that there is even more weight, of course, doing away with the subsidy. So it means that consumers now bearing far much more weight than they were doing before. Now, we are now maybe at the worst, at the pit. The question is, can we now go up? Can we start now seeing improvement?
With external shocks expected to slow down the global economic growth, the experts say Kenya Kwanza administration will be judged based on how soon they will be able to turn around the economy, or will it be yet another case of overpromising and under-delivering? Jimmy Mbogo, KTN News.